So each morning when I've been doing this motivation, most mornings I've focused on precious human life, and then responding to a question about working with disturbing thoughts and negative thoughts. And actually you can tie those together quite nicely, and that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. So when like most people, I get stuck. And where I live, you get to watch your stuckness repeatedly. So I have done this many times. And one thing I've learned is that if you think the same way, you follow the same track, and you end up in the same hole. A certain way of thinking always leads to the same place. And when I was younger, and most of my life, actually, I would just distract here, there, here, there, here, there. So last night I had this dream. And in this dream, there was this young colt. And it didn't really know what it was getting itself into. And it kind of got into quicksand. And then just was completely, not even with a mind that was unhappy, just swallowed up by it. And I was there with a friend and had this shovel and was like trying to find it, and get it out of there. And to me, that's kind of like me in my younger life, not really knowing, not having any wisdom, and just having that young colt energy and running around, but things swallowing me up. And so now I watch those things. And the thing that I know is that for one thing I'm working with where I feel stuck is that often I get kind of angry about it. But if I go beneath the anger, there's this feeling of like kind of despondency and futility. And I think that what we're taught and what we endeavor to do in our meditation practice is to use antidotes. And so the most effective antidote is emptiness. Well, that's a ways away from my realizations. So then we rely on more conventional ones, which are things that are the direct opposite. And if you can figure out what is the direct opposite of what's troubling you, you can lift yourself out. And so my teachers have told me years ago, and it's taken me a long time to use this properly, that contemplating on the precious human life, you can never have a feeling of despondency. It's just not possible. It's the direct antidote. And so if you spend enough time thinking about precious human life and thinking about your potential, then when that state of mind comes, you can apply that as an antidote. And the second step in one system of how to deal with these things, well, in our system we usually talk about advantages and disadvantages, and we're always looking at the advantages and disadvantages of things, because that's how we convince ourselves and how we can work with things and encourage ourselves and develop even some wisdom about things on a certain level. And one way to look at disadvantages is to see the danger, and this I find completely helpful. So if my mind is falling to despondency or any negative emotion really, and you can use your meditation practice to become aware of it and recognize it for what it is, you can then apply the exact opposite, which is helpful. And if that isn't like strong enough, for me, I find it very helpful to see the danger in this way of thinking. And that lifts me out. Because if you allow yourself to stay in certain states, they will just follow the natural course, and you will just end up sunk like in quicksand. So it doesn't really work. And so as you watch these things over and over, it's kind of like when we have the expression in our country, like hitting your head against a wall. And that used to be how I learned to change. I would recognize I'm like just hitting my head against the wall and how futile it is, and then I would change. But there's a lot more subtle tools than just that. And so this is one thing that the benefit of staying with the practice, not giving up, and keep refining and learning how to use the Dharma tools.